Hey friends, we are back from Italy. It was awesome. The people there were amazing. The food was delicious. And the art, oh my goodness, the art was so awesome. We went to visit the artist Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was born in Italy in 1452 and he lived to be 67 years old. This was a guy who was known for his works in painting, in drawing, in sculpting, in science. He was a really great engineer. He studied architecture. He studied the anatomy of the human body. He is credited for inventions like the parachute, the helicopter, the tanks. He planned events. He was really great designing and planning military machines. He is famous for the Mona Lisa, and the Mona Lisa is a painting of this beautiful, beautiful young lady. It started in 1503 and finished in 1517. And the Mona Lisa is actually being kept in France. Would you believe it or not? In 1482, he worked for the Duke of Milan and he stayed with him for about 17 years. This is where he created the painting The Last Supper. This guy is awesome. So today you are going to choose one of two, or you can do both. We're going to do our version of Leonardo da Vinci's Hummingbird. And our hummingbird is either going to be a pencil drawing, or if you're feeling a little festive and you love some color in your work, our version of Hummingbird by Leonardo da Vinci in color. I'll see y'all on the drawing board. Hey friends, today we are going to do our version of Leonardo da Vinci's Hummingbird. Now we can either do drawing pencils. If you have a selection of B and H pencils, you can use your drawing pencils. Today I am going to just use a regular graphite pencil. This is your regular pencil that you have with your eraser. Lesson 2 is going to involve some colors, so have your colors nearby. Or if you want to just stick to a pencil and an eraser for lesson 1, that would work as well. So I'm going to go ahead and clear my board. And I'm going to start off with a few basic organic shapes. And the first one is actually going to look like this, almost like an egg. And I'm pressing lightly because at some point I'm going to have to add on or erase some of these lines. Let's make room for the head. And then we have our wing. Our wing almost has like a triangular shape. And then our hummingbird's tail. I'm going to start from here. And that's the basic shape of our hummingbird. Now we're going to add on so that we can actually create the head. Here's the beak. And our hummingbirds are known for very long beaks so they can get the nectar. And I'm going to connect that there. And then we have some feathers right on the chest of our hummingbird. That's going to come to about here. Notice that we are adding on to the existing lines. We'll come back in and erase these lines in a little bit. We're moving on to the wing. Now we're going to add on some feathers here to the wing. So our feathers almost have like a repeated pattern. They almost have a triangular tip. And as we work our feathers down the wing, they actually become smaller. I'm going to start curving my feathers in now. Okay. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some more feathers to my tail. So I love this shape right here. So I'm going to use this line and add on to those lines. And now I'm going to go ahead and just start taking away these lines that help me with the structure of my bird in the first place. Basic outline of a hummingbird. Redraw some of these lines. I'm going to curve this in just a little more. And I'm going to add in some more feathers over here. And these feathers are essentially lines. Leonardo da Vinci concentrated a lot on lines to create his drawings, or his sketches, I should say. Let's do one continuous one right here. And another is coming about here. One continuous line. We have an eye. And a rounded part here for the beak. I'm going to fix this right here. Now I'm going to add in a flower, and my beak is actually going to be inside of the flower, so I'm going to extend my flower out. So I'm going to start right about here. This is just creating the illusion that my hummingbird's beak is inside the middle already. Trying to get some nectar. One petal, two petals, and we want to kind of aim towards here. And as my flower comes around, it's going to get smaller and smaller. Alright friends, we are ready to add color to our hummingbird. Our hummingbird is a beautiful bird with traces of yellow and greens and blues in it. We will create some reds and pinks in our flower. The lesson really today is about using application of lines and using application of value. And you can get value using crayons, color pencils, even markers as well. It just depends on how light and dark you press. Now, in our last video, we showed you how to create value using a graphite pencil. Now we're going to do the same, but we're going to use a mixture of crayons and color pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and get my yellows out. Okay, I'm going to stick to these colors today. And I'm going to go back and forth with crayons as well. So I'm going to get my crayons out. Same sort of transition of colors. I have some yellows and some greens and blue. Okay, I'm going to lay these out on the side. Start off with my yellow. And I'm going to hold my pencil the same way I did with my graphite. So you create an L. And you put your pencil right on the tip of your index finger. Your middle finger, your knuckle is going to kind of grab and straddle right there on that pencil. Your thumb is going to be loose, but you're going to hold that pencil so when you turn it around, it looks like this. So more value, you press down, you get a darker color coming out or a bolder color coming out. And if you want to release the color, you kind of just release the pressure and your hand will automatically release that pressure. Or you can mix light yellow, dark yellows, and you can just go on with that way. Both methods work just as great. I'm going to start off with some yellows. And I know he has some yellows on his wing. Now I'm using the same yellow. Now I'm going to press a little darker, but I'm actually going to hold it like I'm coloring. That way you see the difference between the light and the dark, light and dark. And you can get the same way if you do this. So the intensity stays with the color pencil as well. There's some yellow at the head, right around there. Okay, let's transition into some green. I'm going to let my color pencil blend in with that yellow. Start off nice and light so it doesn't overpower. And when we are coloring objects, especially animals or anything that's three-dimensional, you want to color in the direction of your subject matter. That way it stays with the shape and it creates the illusion that it's three-dimensional. So right around here, I want to actually do what we call a cross. And instead of going here continuously, which is good because I want to keep showing the shape of my bird, I'm also going to go left to right, and now that tells me that my bird has some girth or some roundness to him. And notice my green is going over my yellow. It's perfectly fine. And out there. Great thing with color pencil is that it is erasable. Correct some mistakes. Okay. As I get to the tip, I'm going to make sure that I don't color out of my lines. One great thing about using color pencils is that you can really get into those defined areas, create more of definition, if you would. Do my beak. Let's come back on the wing. And all I'm doing now is extending the feathers with one color. That way you can actually see different feathers forming. Now, traditionally, I like to stick with one form of media. So if you're using color pencils, it's really nice that you can see the transition of color if you stick to color pencils all the way through. If you're using crayons, the same with crayons. I will mix it up a little bit just so you guys can see the difference between using those two. Okay, I'm ready for my blues. So I'm going to go nice light blue up here. Won't press as dark. My blue is going to fill in a lot of my spaces that are white right now. And if you want a darker area, you can use the same blue, and you can just, again, press a little darker as you get closer to that spot. That helps create that definition. Very nice and light blue on the chest of my bird. If you want to use your dark blue, you can come in now, and that creates that highlight. Completely up to you. I'm using my dark blue now, and I'm pressing really light. For younger grades, this is great, so it helps you learn how to press light and dark, so that you can get light areas and dark areas with the same material. This helps you create the value that you are looking for. I'm going to transition into my light blue now. And if you don't have as many colors, should you worry? Not at all. Use what you have. Okay. I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to really have that eye stand out now. Going back in, darkening that area right there. You see my eyes? Well, not my eyes, the hummingbird's eyes. And I'm going to go back in with my dark blue and finish off my beak. And I'm going to not press as hard so that it can blend in nicely with the rest of my beak. And now I'm using my crayons. I'm going to just fill in all that extra space that I've had, that I have not been able to fill in with my color pencil. The great thing about using both color pencil and crayon, you actually get that nice texture difference that comes through. I'm going to use a blue right here. This is the blue crayon, so I'm just going to just add some extra lines in here. And this is called hatching. And hatching is just using a series of lines to create the illusion that there's a darker spot there. So rather than pressing darker, you just hatch. As the lines are closer together, it creates the illusion that there's a darker area there. As the lines go further out, they're not quite as intense. And then your hatching can also be curved, and that would show the body of the bird. All right, let's go back in with our wings. I'm going to use a green crayon now. This is just a little extra here. Finish up the chest with some hatching, some green lines. Beautiful. Okay, let's go work on our flower. So I'm going to use some reds, 2 different shades of red. Again, if you don't have 2 shades and you only have 1 shade, just use 1. I like to start off nice and deep or nice and dark, and that way I can learn to not press as dark to get some nice lighter areas. And when you're adding color to your flower, the same rule applies. You want the color in the direction that you want to show your petals. So if my petals are nice and rounded, then you want to make sure that you're coloring nice and rounded direction. All right, and right in the middle here is just going to be a little bit dark. This is just showing a little depth for my flower. And that differentiates the middle of the flower from the rest of the flower. You can create a background if you want. You don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a very light background. I'm just going to create a diagonal line. I am pressing very light in the event that I make a mistake and cross over into my hummingbird or my flower. And these diagonal lines help create the illusion that there's actual movement happening. And all you did was freeze frame, took a photo of freeze frame, and there you have it, our hummingbird is done. All right, friends, and there you have it, our version of Leonardo da Vinci's hummingbird with color. That was super awesome, friends. I can't wait to see these drawings of these hummingbirds. Leonardo da Vinci was born in Italy in 1452, and he lived to be 67 years old. He is known for his extensive work in painting, drawing, sculpting, science, engineering, architecture, anatomy. He designed works for military machines. He is credited for the inventions of the parachute, the helicopter, and even the tank. He is most famous for his painting, The Mona Lisa. He worked for the Duke of Milan for 17 years as well. And in that commission for the Duke of Milan, he created a beautiful painting called The Last Supper. Friends, you guys have a safe rest of your week. I can't wait to see y'all next week. Next week, we're heading off to Los Angeles. Awesome. Maybe we'll see another crayon there. You think we'll find another friend there? Yeah, they're just blank staring at me. They say, sure, we can find another friend there. I'm going to run out of space on this table soon. Bye, friends. Take care.